The author took his quill and twirled it in his hand, as he is oft to do as of late. It was supposed to be simple, of course. He then took out a small rectangular box and pulled out the same cigar once again and lit it. He took a deep breath of the smoke as he remembered the words he had spoken so long ago. "I don't want this job," he had said. The shadowy figure in his mind, erased as it were, merely smiled and replied, "I know, but you have been chosen nonetheless. You are responsible for our great lever now. Take care whom you shepherd, for small figures grow larger with time." The author leaned back and exhaled the purple smoke from his cigar. It was foreign made and imported. He felt his body relax and his mood improve, and he slowly grew hungry. It was fine, he thought. He would be able to eat in just a minute. Went back to the story. Threads revealed and drawn the two sides of the coin that touched the world in the same but different ways. It was not the coin, of course. That object had thankfully disappeared, and for good, the author hoped. And so he began to sketch, a much brighter and vibrant one than what was presented in the story. An image of heroes and a young girl surrounded by a giant troll in a suit, sketching a crude image of the grand design. 5, sometimes 6 people were chosen. The author had smiled. It often seemed like those chosen never understood what made them special. But in reality, it was in truth random. They were so desperate for a victory that they had given up all semblance of organization. It was the same souls, true, that was a key part of the process. But their identities, well, they were simply aligned at the right time to be snatched up and repurposed. Many were local, as it was a larger window to repurpose a victim when they were already existing upon the plane. Yet, the author mused, it was often easier to motivate via loss than via greed. And so he often plucked those who were lost among the masses, with nowhere else to turn. Then he did as he always did and raised them up, as if from perdition, through the shimmering surface of water that blocks this realm from the others. And they would arrive at the end of his hall. And what objects they interacted with, what mirrors they used. Well, those all told him what kind of souls they were. He did his best to balance his prospective party naturally, but sometimes it didn't quite work out like that. He then took another deep draught of his cigar as he let his mind wander. He was close to giving up, truth be told. He had tried so many, many times. It never quite worked out, even in the endgame. He had been forced to restart early, and it had thrown a wrench in the great machine of this place. He then stood up, putting down the golden quill, and looked on to the vast empty darkness that was this universe. Every time he used the machine, he mused, it was like giving one more paper cut to reality, and through the beads of blood, red life did not flow. It was black, miasmic. It whispered and tempted to try and breach more and more of itself inside. The author exhaled out into the empty void. His smoke percolates, now drifting forever. Every reset there was another cut, then another and another. He watched as the last stars started to slowly flicker under the attack. Something had gone wrong. This was the last try, the last attempt. In the dark void there was almost nothing. Just distant flickering lights slowly being extinguished. One by one. A wave of force rippled him and his neighbor, that he was sure. He looked at his intricate timepiece inside. It was the last time. No more do-overs. The pox left upon reality were beginning to outnumber perception. The millions of tiny, tiny cuts were beginning to take its toll. The author exhaled once more, filling the void ever so slightly more with cigar smoke. He stood there, stoically, thinking, worrying, knowing. There were no more attempts. He had tried one too many times, and now things were unstable. In the end, he had cut one too many times, and now the universe is finally bleeding out.